Well, back home now, and marriage equality is back on the national agenda with reports several government MPs will call for a free vote in Parliament. The issue will apparently come to a head once the proposed date for the plebiscite passes, at which time they will argue that the Liberal Party room should debate the issue again.
Let's get more on this and other issues on the national political agenda. We're joined now by federal Liberal MP Tim Wilson. Tim, welcome.
Thanks, Andrew. Lovely to be here.
Let's just start with that issue that, Fairfax are reporting in the past 24 hours that you're part of a push from the backbench to abandon the government's plebiscite policy and bring on a free vote on the floor of Parliament. Can you confirm that?
Well, Andrew, I don't understand what is news about this issue. Here is the brutal reality. I am a long-standing advocate for a change in the law. That is not a surprise and that is not news. On the 15th of August 2015, when he was Prime Minister, Tony Abbott said that we would be able to have a free vote in this Parliament. That is not news. It is a year and a half old. We had a bill before the Parliament to push for a plebiscite. I voted for it and honoured that commitment and discharged my duties. That is not news, and it has been done. And then in December, there was a Senate inquiry established to look at a piece of legislation to amend the Act, and that is still ongoing. And when that committee reports, when that inquiry is concluded, obviously there is going to have to be a discussion. It's got nothing to do with me pushing for anything or anybody else. That process was already in train and was driven by the Senate.
So you're not talking to other members in the party room about possibly trying to scrap the plebiscite and go for a free vote?
Well, I've already said, Andrew, on the 15th of August 2015, there was a statement that the last Parliament was the last Parliament to be bound on this issue and that we have a free vote in this Parliament. I have honoured my commitment on the plebiscite and we're waiting for the inquiry process in the Senate to resolve itself and establish what may come out of it. And I'm sure there will be a discussion after that. There was always going to be. Well, let's wait and see what comes out of that inquiry process.
Are you willing to put a date on when the plebiscite may come about?
Well, the plebiscite was supposed to come about on the 11th of August, but sadly Labor decided to play divisive and cynical politics. If Labor had have actually acknowledged the commitment of the government to take a plebiscite at the last election, we could have had legislation introduced, passed by the Parliament, and this coming Saturday we would have had the vote, which I'm sure would have led to an ushering in a change in the law. Sadly, Labor decided to play cynical politics. Bill Shorten decided to play divisive politics, and we haven't had that opportunity.
Tim Wilson, Parliament returns this week. What's at the top of the government's agenda?
Well, the top of the government's agenda is very clearly issues around securing this country's economic security into the future, particularly around, and as the Prime Minister said, it is National Press Club address, dealing with challenges around making sure that energy is secure, electricity is secure and affordable, to make sure that there's a downward pressure on people's power bills, because one of the things that the government is very aware of and very concerned about is making sure we keep costs of living low and making sure that we can that people can pay their bills and that everybody feels comfortable and secure in their home.
Now, you'll also need to consider exactly what's going to happen with the Trans-Pacific Partnership. As far as Donald Trump is concerned, it is dead. Is it?
Well, the TPP was always going to be a deal that was negotiated between a multitude of countries. It isn't just up to the United States, and the government will always keep its options open. The Prime Minister has said that, as have other ministers, including the Trade Minister, and looking at ways we can work with countries so Australian exporters can get greater market access into other markets. That will always be what Liberal governments will look for, as opportunities to grow the Australian economy so that we can deliver more money into people's pockets and create jobs. And that won't change just because of a position that is taken out of the United States about what they decide is in their national interest. Our national interest is in creating jobs and creating export opportunities for Australians.
Of course, the big issue which has been dominating headlines the past week has been that refugee resettlement deal with the United States. We're well aware that Donald Trump is very unhappy with it. If it does not proceed, or even if it does, and those refugees are subject to extreme vetting, do you believe that it'll be such that very few will actually make it through the process? If so, what are the alternatives for those people?
Well, it's quite clear that the deal is going to go ahead. The Prime Minister has been very strong in standing up for our national interest, and particularly in dealing with this challenge and securing a good deal with the Obama administration, which the Trump administration is now honouring. And that is a huge credit to the Prime Minister and his strength in standing up for our national interest and getting a good outcome. Sorry, Andrew, I haven't finished my answer. That's what's going to happen. And obviously there will be vetting. We have security processes for vetting people who come into Australia. The United States has exactly the same in terms of vetting processes around security, and people will be moved there once they pass those security assessments.
You're adamant that it will proceed, even though President Trump has said he'll look at it.
Well, there's been a series of statements from the White House since he said that, clarifying that they will honour that deal. The deal that was negotiated by the Prime Minister with the Obama administration, which is being honoured by the Trump administration, and is because the Prime Minister has been strong and clear in standing up for our national interest.
How unsettling is that for the government, that there have been some very mixed messages coming from Washington? That must be unsettling for the government in the way that it deals with the Trump administration.
Well, as you know, Andrew, I'm not involved in these phone conversations, but I think the government has been very clear in what it sought to achieve through these negotiations. The Prime Minister has been very strong and secured them, and now they're being honoured by the Trump administration. And so when it comes down to standing up for our national interest, this government, the Turnbull government, is delivering for the Australian people.
Tim Wilson, as a former Human Rights Commissioner, are you comfortable with Donald Trump in his executive order halting immigration for those 7 majority Muslim countries? Of course, that has been lifted overnight by the actions of a judge. However, he's adamant that it will be reinstated. How comfortable are you with that action?
Well, I believe that every process or every person who's seeking asylum should be assessed on the basis of the legitimacy of their claim, but they should still go through proper security, health and identity assessments if they come into Australia or if they go into the United States. But it's up to the United States to decide its policy. It's not up to people like myself to try and tell them what they should do. To make sure that they have proper security processes is hardly an outrageous proposition in putting a temporary stay to make sure that Americans feel confident and secure in their processes.
Do you feel as though he is discriminating against Muslims?
No, I don't think that's right at all, because the largest Muslim nation in the world is not included in that directive, as are a lot of other ones. This is a policy clearly that they've made based on assessment of where they're concerned about terrorism, and all they've said is a stay in making a decision of who can come in until they're confident of security processes. And frankly, I don't see that as particularly radical. In fact, I think it has some merit if you're concerned about that, and to build public confidence to make sure that there is proper security assessments.
You were referring there to Indonesia, although we heard reports yesterday that certainly
well, it's not just Indonesia. There are plenty of Muslim countries which aren't included in the directive.
No,
so this is one of the most outrageous slurs against the Trump administration. Whether I agree with them or not, you should deal with these things honestly, and constantly saying it's a Muslim ban is just dishonest.
We heard yesterday from Indonesia that there's concern there that this ban will encourage extremism in the country.
Well, I haven't read those reports, but when it comes down to it, we know full well that it hasn't covered a country like Indonesia, so referring to a Muslim ban is frankly dishonest.
OK. Tim Wilson, thanks very much for joining us.
Thanks, Andrew.
Let's take a look at the satellite image. An active monsoon trough is coming across the tropics, producing showers and storms. Other separate troughs are now causing widespread storms over central Western Australia and northeast New South Wales. Looking around the country, in Queensland, some heavy showers and storms in the tropics. Coastal showers expected for the rest of the state, hot and dry through the inland. Very hot in the north and west of New South Wales. Hot all along the coast, showers and storms over south and central parts of the state. Showers and storms expected in Victoria, becoming cooler and cloudy later. Rain will become heavy around the northern border. Showers mainly in the west and south of Tasmania, and a late cool change arriving. In South Australia, rain, showers and storms spreading from the west, hot over both the north and the east. In the west, winds, rain and storms increasing in the north, rain over the south, clearing to the east, warm conditions expected elsewhere. Rain and storms in the top end, hot to very hot and sunny in the south. And looking ahead to Monday's forecast for the capitals, Brisbane, Hobart will be mostly sunny. Sydney will be cloudy with late showers. Canberra will have showers throughout the day, rain clearing in Melbourne and Adelaide. Perth will be sunny and thunderstorms are predicted for Darwin.